Top stories in this edition of the WINN TV News. Man shot and killed and another injured in Sandy Point. Marcella Liburd declines challenge for a debate. And is the government coalition in Trinidad and Tobago a good example for team unity to emulate? Welcome to the WINN TV News for February 4, 2015. I am Jonel Powell. We start on a somber note as a man was shot dead and another wounded in Sandy Point on Tuesday night. More in this report from Tony Frederick Armstrong.
Residents tell WINN FM that sometime around 8 o'clock, 2 volleys of gunfire were heard somewhere in the vicinity of Soho and Farm Site. Shortly afterward, a man was spotted holding his stomach and running from the area onto the Island Main Road. Sandy Point police, having arrived in the area within minutes, put him in their vehicle and rushed him to the nearby Parkson Hospital. It was several minutes later, some residents say nearly half an hour, as people gathered in the area, that a body was spotted in the backyard of a home in Soho. The deceased seems to have fallen onto a fence, knocking it over. He lay with his hand over his face, and witnesses say he appeared to have been shot in the head. Assistant Commissioner of Police Ian Quayle confirmed Tuesday morning that dead is Kevin Francis, also known as Judge. Francis, said to be in his mid-20s, was a resident of Parsons Ground. ACP Quayle said he could not comment on reports that Mr. Francis was a suspect in an ongoing criminal investigation, but he confirmed that he was known to police. Injured is Brian Wilkinson of Sandy Point, believed to be in his early 20s. WINN FM understands that he's known as VJ. According to ACP Quayle, Wilkinson is now warded at the JNF hospital in stable condition after receiving multiple gunshot wounds. Soho area residents, meantime, have told WINN FM that the victim, Francis, was believed to have been staying in Sandy Point for the past 2 days. Police have picked up an undisclosed number of persons who are now in custody in relation to the shootings. The Assistant Commissioner declined Tuesday to say where they were apprehended.
In a related story, leader of the People's Action Movement, Sean Richards, is suggesting that inflammatory remarks made by the Prime Minister recently are irresponsible and unfortunate. WINN TV's Andre Huey has more.
The comments Mr. Richards referred to were made by the Prime Minister at a Labour Party public meeting in St. Paul's last week.
That it was only last week that Denzel Douglas stood up on a political platform in St. Paul's and said that he's coming to Sandy Point the following night, the Friday night, to conquer new territory. He not only said that he's coming to conquer new territory, but he said when he's finished, who ain't dead will be badly wounded. I said to you that as a minister with responsibility for national security, as the representative for constituency number 6, that those statements were unfortunate because you have young, impressionable people listening to Dr. Douglas as Prime Minister and as Minister for National Security.
While addressing the Prime Minister's statement at a Team Unity political meeting in Cairn Tuesday night, Mr. Richards spoke of the shooting death of Kevin Francis in his constituency of Sandy Point, hours before the Cairn meeting. Mr. Richards is suggesting that the comments may have created an atmosphere of violence in Sandy Point.
I find it even more unfortunate because I, for one, I have been saying that yes, we have had quite a number of murders in this country, but fortunately for Sandy Point, we have not had any murders down there within recent years. No sooner than the outgoing, irresponsible Denzel Douglas has made his statements, we have a next murder taking place in Sandy Point.
The Prime Minister on Tuesday on his weekly radio program said his comments were taken out of context and that he is not a violent man.
Still to come, Labour MP Marcella Liburd declines challenge for a debate.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
WINN FM's mission is to contribute meaningfully to the information, awareness, and the development of our nation and the region through the building of educated and informed communities. WINN FM faces the issues squarely, without shying away from controversy, while striving continuously to provide balanced, responsible reporting.
Better music, better talk, better radio. 98.9 WINN FM.
Welcome back. Labour Party Representative Marcella Liburd at a public meeting Tuesday said she had torn up a letter inviting her to debate Team Unity candidate Jonel Powell because of what she described as the rude tone of the letter. Ken Richards has more.
A torn invitation response from one election rival candidate to another. Labour Party Representative Marcella Liburd at a public meeting Tuesday said she had torn up a letter inviting her to debate Team Unity candidate Jonel Powell because of what she described as the rude tone of the letter. Powell, a deputy leader of the People's Action Movement, is hoping to unseat Ms. Liburd in the February 16 general election. He said in his debate invitation that Central Basta deserves honest leadership by a parliamentary representative dedicated to serving its needs. The young politician said too that Central Basta voters are tired of voting for someone who has betrayed their trust and who has abandoned them for 5 years, someone who has used and abused them. For Labour's Marcella Liburd, those comments are not intended to encourage debate between the two Central Basta election candidates. She was also very critical of Powell, accusing him of not understanding the plight of the poor.
Now they round give out breakfast with their mother to try to see if they could buy out Central Basta people. But Central Basta people will not be bought. He is the face of the plantocracy. He is the face of the plantocracy. Money and beer flying in Central Bastille. But in spite of all of that, they will get a licking in Central Bastille because people know who they really are. I mean, this guy is so disrespectful. Say he can put on some letter on his step. Some letter, say all kind of disrespectful things in the letter, and then say he challenging me to a debate. So I just tear up the letter, put it in a nice envelope with his name, and send it back to him. Out of order, they don't know the place. They don't know who they're playing with. Completely out of order.
The governing Trinidad and Tobago coalition administration has lost its way and is not a good example for opposition alliance Team Unity to emulate. This is according to Port of Spain-based veteran broadcaster Tony Fraser. More in this report.
He was commenting on the latest cabinet reshuffle undertaken by Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, with her embattled Attorney General Anand Ramlogan and her Minister of National Security Gary Griffith accused of witness tampering in the midst of a critical election year for her coalition government. The Prime Minister forced the resignation of these two senior cabinet ministers while taking the opportunity to announce sweeping changes across other cabinet portfolios. Fraser says the long list of ministers Persad-Bissessar has dismissed over a period of time has weakened her coalition. We put this specific question to the veteran broadcaster on the coalition issue. Do you see, though, the coalition sticking together to contest the next election, or is it likely to fall apart? And I'm asking that question from St. Kitts and Nevis, where a new opposition alliance, Team Unity, is trying to come to government and looking at Trinidad and Tobago and Britain and others who have coalition arrangements.
Well, if they're looking at Trinidad and Tobago, it's the wrong place to look. Because frankly, Ken, I can say it nicely, but the reality is that there is no coalition now. The COP, as I just described, is a dead political party. The Tobago party was wiped out in the Tobago House of Assembly election 12-0. So that party is trying to get together. They have no real political leader, no political organization. The other party, the National Joint Action Committee, is a movement, a sort of 1970 and the Black Power Revolution. It didn't even get more than 200 or 300 votes in any of the seats it contested the last time, and so that's a waste of time. And the Movement for Social Justice, which is the Labour element, or was the Labour element of the People's Partnership in 2010, departed in 2012. So really and truly, There is no coalition in place. It has fragmented.
To end the WINN TV News, a look at the headlines. Man shot and killed and another injured in Sandy Point. And Marcella Liburd declines challenge for a debate. I am Chantal Rochester. Thank you for watching.